Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
Hello and a warm welcome to the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. The team this week is me, Bruce Millington. Alongside me in the studio are Mark Langdon and James Milton from the Racing Post, and a warm postcast debut to one of Paddy Power's great football compilers and experts, Sam Kingston. So, equine flu has yet to affect footballers, so we've got a full weekend programme. Sadly, we can't say the same for racing yet. Fingers crossed that blows over as quickly as possible, but we're going to immerse ourselves in a great weekend of football. There's 5 live Premier League games. We'll look at them, we'll look at all the other 3pms and any other best bets that the guys have got further down the leagues in Scotland or indeed in Europe. First of all though, as is tradition, whenever we have a newcomer, we find out a little about them. So Sam Kingston, how long have you been at Paddy Power?
2 years now. I've been in football trading for a year.
Okay. Are you a better judge than Jason Murphy?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
Jolly good. Basically, I think the last 5 Paddy Power people we've asked this question to have answered either Liverpool or Man United. So let's see if you can be a little bit more left field. Who do you support?
Well, certainly not one of them. I'm an Arsenal fan.
You're an Arsenal fan?
Yeah. Excellent.
Oh, James is an Arsenal fan as well, and Mark is Tottenham, so should be nice and lively. Excellent. And why do you support Arsenal?
It was back in 2002 when Sylvain Wiltord had scored at Old Trafford. It was from that day on I supported Arsenal. That's
amazing, isn't it, James? Why did you support Arsenal? I bet it wasn't Sylvain Wiltord, was it?
Brought up incorrectly, I think. I actually got into them because all my dad's friends used to say how much they hated them in the George Graham era, and I was just being a bit contrarian. I like the attitude of that team.
In the wilds of Norfolk, where you grew up, who did people mostly support? Was it Norwich?
Yeah, Norwich and Ipswich. Yeah, the bitter rivalry, even the fact that there's kind of 40 miles of wasteland between the two. But
so you're a bit too young for Alan Brazil, otherwise you would have been a diehard Ipswich fan if you'd seen him and Arnold Muren and all those guys. Okay, thank you very much, Sam. Welcome along. Hope you managed to tip a few winners on week 1. We'll start with the 6 questions, 2 each, and then the lads get to ask the one they wish they'd been asked. All of these need Sam to read out some prices, and we'll start off with James Milton's first question, which is, will Liverpool or City, brackets or indeed Tottenham, win the title? Before James answers, what's the latest betting, Sam?
So we have Man City at 4-5, shortened last night after their win against Everton, and we have Liverpool at 11-10 now.
Okay, and Tottenham, you disregarding them?
A little bit, yeah, 22-1.
22-1. James, who are you going for?
It's unbelievably difficult. It is one of them. I mean, I think if I was forced to have a bet at this stage, purely because Liverpool are outsiders, I'd stick with them, and also because their wobble is kind of what we're all talking about and thinking about. So maybe that's been factored in a little too much. And City's extra workload, possibly. They've got a League Cup final coming up, Champions League. They've got virtually a bye to the quarterfinals. I mean, they're in the FA Cup as well, away to Newport, so they'll probably be out of that soon. But that could be an issue. But I couldn't have a bet with great confidence on either side. It's going to go down to the wire.
Down to the wire. Okay, Mark, who's going to win the Golden Boot? Sam, give us a show of betting before Mark tells us.
Yeah, the Golden Boot, we have Salah still favoured at evens. We've got Aguero 4-1. Aubameyang is also 4-1, and Harry Kane shortened this morning. He's gone into 10-1.
Oh, why was he shortened?
Just because he's only got 3 more games out, and he usually comes good towards the end of the season. So we decided to shorten from 12s to 10s this morning.
As well, he's a very quick healer. Him and Dele Alli have been on Instagram sort of quite a bit, showing their sort of fitness work. So maybe that they can get them back. I think there was a story actually this week saying that that there may be even an outside chance he'll be back sooner than expected. So that'll be why. I feel like opposing Salah could be the way to go at the moment. Aubameyang it's potentially the one. He doesn't do a lot in matches really, other than score the goals, but he scores a lot of them, particularly against the weaker teams. And Arsenal have got a nice little run of fixtures coming up where they'll fancy their chances of sort of getting back right into that top four mix. Not that they're sort of tailed off by any means. So I think maybe Aubameyang, he's definitely playing sort of more regularly now. There was that thing earlier on in the season when he was playing out wide left sometimes. I think Emery's found a system now that suits him and Lacazette in terms of playing them centrally together. He's on the main load of penalties. I know Lacazette sort of takes them occasionally, so he could be the one. I still feel with Aguero that you're thinking, oh, when's the next injury coming? Even though he's been better, I think, fitness-wise, more recently than he was when he first came to England, I still am always fearful of that next injury. And Jesus came on and scored again. He's actually been scoring in the cups, so maybe there will be an opportunity, to rotate a little bit. And I mean, it's just the price with Salah. I mean, everybody rates him; he's a quality player. But if Liverpool are just stopping slightly, may open the door for Aubameyang.
Okay, Sam, your question is who's going to win the FA Cup? And while you're having a little think, see if you can multitask and read out Paddy Power's latest prices.
Yeah. So we currently have City at 6 to 5. Currently have City at 6 to 5. Sorry, yeah, and Chelsea at 5 to 1. With United at 6 to 1.
Did you stop at that 6 to 5 because you thought no team can be 6 to 5 at the 5th round stage? It's probably the shortest anyone's ever been, isn't it?
Yeah. It's due to Chelsea drawing Man United in the next round, so there'll be only 2 left from the top 6. I do fancy Man City. I think they're well capable of beating either Chelsea or United, and then any of the lower teams. I think Wolves will be the best outside bet. We have them at 17 to 2. But it's Man City for me. Okay.
Now then, James, let's drop down to the Championship. Are Leeds going to get the trip? I mean, obviously worrying signs with the 3-0 defeat to Norwich. What's the latest betting on the Championship, Sam?
We have Norwich at Favs at 13 to 8. Leeds joined Favs 13 to 8 with Sheffield United 9 to 2. And then...
Go on, keep going. 11 to 1 who?
11 to 1 West Brom, Middlesbrough 18 to 1.
Okay, lovely stuff.
Derby 40s.
Blimey. So it's any 1 from 5 realistically, I think, isn't it, James?
Yeah, I mean that defeat for Leeds against Norwich was a real shocker, and obviously caused a big flip at the top of the betting. Yeah, I think Leeds should be concerned. The old stereotype about Bielsa's sides kind of working so hard in the first part of the campaign, and then I'm going to chuck in another stereotype of the Championship being such a grueling division as well. I think there's elements of truth in both of those. And then there's been all the kind of spying claims as well. What kind of impact that has?
Admissions.
I was being very cautious legally. Yeah. And it's a story that's kind of blown up enormously. But Mark and I were talking about this yesterday. Actually, that it is a big newspaper story, but it's going to affect the way that they prepare for games quite significantly, isn't it? And
so you're going to take them on. Who wins it then, James?
I still think West Brom could go on a real run. I think they've been really impressive away from home, particularly. And you look at their squad; they've got some fantastic attacking talents.
They've got goals, haven't they?
Yeah, they brought in some good loan signings in January. So yeah, I think they could push for automatic. Yeah.
Okay, now poor old Mark had a massive wobble when Nathan Jones was prized away from Luton, who win him an absolute fortune to go and manage Stoke. But since then, they've steadied the ship. So Mark's question is, are Luton back on track? Will they get League One done and dusted before he lets us know? Sam, how do you bet?
We have Luton 4 to 5. They'd certainly be my pick anyway. Barnsley then at 3 to 1. Sunderland at 4 to 1. And Portsmouth then have drifted to 7 to 1 now.
Blimey, Portsmouth were odds on not so long ago, Mark, weren't they?
They were. They've gone deep into a lot of the cup competitions, and I think that has impacted on them. Picked up a key injury to one of their centre halves as well. He's out for the season. A couple of the loanees that they had went back as well. So I think that they've sort of had a hit a bad patch at the wrong time for them, and I always felt like they were winning games very narrowly before Kenny Jackett seemed well organised defensively. I think Luton will win it. I mean, one day in about 20 years, I'll be able to chuckle about how this team didn't win League Two, never mind League One. I mean, that was, and I suppose that is the concern, that once promotion was sort of in the bag last season, they actually didn't bother.
It's always the problem, isn't it?
Is,
you want them to win more than they do.
Yeah, I do, but I mean, Mick Harford's done a great job, because you wouldn't have known that there's been any kind of managerial change. I suppose if they started losing matches, then it is the questions will come. But at the moment, they look the best team in the division. I'm looking around for data. I mean, I've got sort of multiples of them and Barnsley combined with Lincoln and Mansfield, who have got League Two wrapped up between them. It's the Championship that's the problem, with Middlesbrough and Derby in sort of 2 by 2s by 2. But I think Luton, there's been no change in sort of a lot of their stats since Mick Harford went in, and they look the best team.
I've got those 2 by 2s, but I've also got Luton and Fylde. No, not Luton. I've got Leyton Orient and Fylde in the conference. So
that's well. My dad's got. Sorry, we're going off topic here, but my dad's got one, and he thought he had Solihull Moors in it. I said, "Why would you have done them?" He said, "I'm sure people were talking about them." I said, "No, it was Salford." So he's been cheering on Solihull for the whole season, and he's only realised like last week that it's actually Salford who. But Solihull were right up there as well. So he thought he was. But yeah, he's on Salford and sort of various others. So that conference, National League, is brilliant as well.
It is, yeah. Very interesting. Right then, going back up to the top elite level of football, we've got the Champions League resuming next Tuesday. So Sam, tell us who you think is going to win the Champions League. Give us a show first.
Who I think will win? I think Juventus, just because of the Ronaldo factor. Back then, very early on, I still think they're a good price at 6 to 1.
How'd you bet? Give us a show.
We've got Man City at 10 to 3. They're the favourites. We've got Barca at 4 to 1. PSG at 15 to 2. Juventus 6 to 1. Liverpool 8 to 1. Real Madrid holders at 12 to 1. Bayern also at 12 to 1.
Okay.
And Atletico then 20s, Dortmund 22s.
I'm trying to place your accent, Sam. There's a bit of a Jim Bolger about you. You're not from Dublin, are you?
Originally I am. I've lived in Wicklow for the past...
Wicklow?
Yeah, for the past 15 years.
Yeah, you definitely sound a little bit like a young Jim Bolger. Okay, so you fancy Juve to go all the way. Who's the big danger?
I think Atletico might be a good price at 20 to 1. They've always seemed to do well in that competition. With 2 finals, they could go far again this year. Okay,
James, which question do you want to take?
Golden Boot, actually. I think the news of Kane's imminent return is quite interesting as an each-way punt. I think saw a quote from him the other day saying he's planning to get the balls out as part of his recovery. Could be taken out of context, but I just got memories of a couple of seasons ago. I think when he scored kind of 7 goals in the last 2 games to win it. You know, he'll be going all the way to the line for the boot.
Harry Kane. Okay, Mark.
I'll take the Championship one. I think that Leeds, the spine stuff, I think has impacted on just the way that Leeds prepare for matches. I mean, if they were, and Bielsa is such a creature of habit, like he walks in a certain way on the touchline every single time, does the same things over and over again. He's a very intense character. If he hasn't got that information that he's been receiving and then passing on to the players all season, I do wonder how that will impact on the way that they prepare for other teams. I don't really like Norwich's price either, though. I was looking at Sheffield United, who've been sort of the expected goals kings for sort of most of the season, a very solid side sort of in terms of level of performance and results for about 18 months now, and I think they could be the ones that I've seen West Brom a few times. They've got the players. I don't rate the manager particularly highly. Middlesbrough probably a little bit too far off, although that win against West Brom the last week has sort of just kept them interested.
I'm enjoying the Championship. Very fascinating division this year. Sam, which question do you want to answer?
The Premier League. I think Manchester City will win the Premier League.
Do you?
Yeah.
By how far? Do you think it'll go down to the wire, or do you think it'll do it quite easily?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it will. It'll be a last day job. Liverpool will be right in it till the end. I think Spurs will fall off as soon as they're talked about being in the title race. They'll fall off.
Spoken like a true Arsenal fan there, exactly, Sam.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Man City they've done it before. Liverpool seem to be not playing as well. Their defence is getting a bit shakier as we go on. So I think Man City will have enough to see it out.
Lovely, thank you, chaps. Let's look at the first of our live games. Takes place at 12:30 on Saturday. It's Fulham versus Manchester United, live on Sky Sports. And Sam, what's the win, draw, win prices for this one?
So we've Fulham at 4-1 here. We've the draw 3-1, and Man United are 4-7.
Okay, Mark, away you go.
Yeah, I think Marcus Rashford to score first, 5-1.
Link with Real Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of see why, I suppose. The way that he's now playing as the centre forward for Manchester United. I mean, Lukaku's still favourite in this market. I mean, I think Rashford should definitely be favourite. He's got 6 goals in 8 starts since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer arrived. He's obviously bringing the best out of him and playing more to his strengths. And then you have a look at Fulham with 55 goals conceded. They're 7 points from safety. Ordinarily, you'd think a point's a good result against Manchester United, and I suppose it would be for Fulham. But 7 points, they have to start winning. Otherwise, they're going to get cut adrift. So I think they have to play pretty ambitiously, and that can only help Manchester United. And like I said, I just think Rashford should be favourite. I think this is just sort of old style prices that take a long while to change in first goal scorer.
Each way or win only?
Well, I mean the each way is a nice play here, isn't it? Because I'm expecting a lot of goals anyway, and you'd be slightly concerned, I suppose, if Lukaku plays, because I always think Rashford is better when he's the main man up there, but I still think that he's more likely to score. Okay, Rashford, first goal for Mark. What about you, James?
Yeah, United to win and both teams to score. I think, as Mark's kind of suggested, I don't think Fulham are going to be able to help themselves in this game. I think it is just going to be an open game. And United have clearly got the extra class in attack. United win and both teams to score has copped in 10 of their 14 Premier League wins this season. And even in those kind of 1-0s at Leicester and Tottenham, I mean, Leicester had chances and Tottenham absolutely battered United in the second half. So I think Fulham will go for it, and they've shown time and again this season that they can score goals, but it's just a question of how many United get, I think. I must admit, I thought Fulham showed signs of chucking it in last week against us. I thought they were absolutely appalling. Particularly after they'd just beaten Brighton, come from 2-0 down. You thought, if there was going to be a turning point, it would be that, and then to follow up with that display at Palace. Yeah. Really, really toothless that was. Some of them should be ashamed of themselves. Sam, your debut match tip on the Postcast. Make it a good one. I'm all over United here. I think Rashford's form, he's a good bet for first goal scorer, but I've gone for United -1 at 6-4 or -2 at 4-1. I think there's value there. Fulham have been woeful. I've seen them twice this season actually against Arsenal. Both times we've hammered them. So I think United on the handicap is a good bet here. Smashing. We're off and running. Back in a minute with the Saturday 3 p.m. games.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back. Let's blast through the 3 p.m. Saturday Premier League games. Starting with Crystal Palace versus West Ham. It's Evans Palace, 23-10 the draw, and 11-4 West Ham. Now, at the time of speaking, Mark, we don't know whether Wilf is going to get his ban extended. I think I'd go slightly odds on he will, so that could be a factor. What do you think? I've gone West Ham draw double chance, slightly in the hope that it is extended. No, you won't be celebrating that, but I actually think that West Ham I think West Ham are a better team than Crystal Palace, not by a huge amount, but if you do, then I think that at the prices, particularly with that Zaha news, not knowing yet, I think you have to go that. I thought they played really well against Liverpool. I know consistency's been a problem for West Ham, but I still think that the Palace is a little bit short here for me. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. James? I'm going for over 2.5 goals, which I wouldn't have tipped too often in Palace home games. There's not been a huge number of goals. I think this one could butt the trend. The reverse fixture, West Ham won 3-2.
Palace scoring a bit more freely in recent weeks, and
We've
West
actually
Ham,
got some forwards now, which is good news.
Yeah, that helps. And West Ham stronger going forward than in defence as well, so it could be a lively one.
Jolly good. Now, Sam, you need to learn that if you're going to oppose Palace on the Postcast, you have to do it very sympathetically, OK? So what are you going to go for here?
OK, I'm afraid I am going to oppose them. I'm gone for, well, I think it's going to be a draw, but I've gone for West Ham on the double chance at 8 to 11. Palace is home for them. They've only got 12 points in 12 games. They've scored 8 goals. And West Ham, I know they've 2 defeats in their last 2 away games, but I do expect them to bounce back here. So I've gone for them double chance.
Righty-ho. Let's hope Jason's on next week. Huddersfield 9 to 2, 3 to 1 the draw, 4 to 7 Arsenal. James, will Arsenal get the job done here?
They will, and actually through gritted teeth, I'm going for an Arsenal clean sheet as well. I think 2-0 Arsenal is a decent bet. I mean, Huddersfield lost 11 of the last 12, scored once in 6 games, made it hard work of it. Arsenal in the reverse fixture. Lucas Torreira popped up with the only goal, one of the least spectacular overhead kicks you'll ever see. It was about 3 yards.
Got one of them last night. I thought he should have scored.
It was about 3 yards out, completely unmarked, but took it well anyway. So yeah, 2-0 Arsenal.
OK. What about you, Sam?
I've also gone Arsenal to win to 0. 9 to 5 just looks far too big for me. We haven't actually won to 0 away from home yet, but Huddersfield are just can't score a goal. Their strikers scored 1 goal this season. They've scored 13, so I've gone Arsenal to 0 here.
And Mark?
Yeah, I thought Arsenal were a pretty fair price, really, against a team that I'm not even sure would be sort of challenging right at the top of the Championship. Got a manager that I'd never heard of until he was appointed.
You'd never heard of him?
I mean, no, I don't think anyone had. Did they? Certainly not in England.
He must have been living on a small Polynesian island on his own for you not to.
No, I mean he was with the sort of Dortmund second team, but there was a bit of fuss about Wagner when he was sort of coaching in Germany, maybe because he was Klopp's best mate, but Daniel Farke as well. I mean, there was some suggestion that he was ready for this. I mean, Huddersfield have lost every game they've played against the Big Six this season. They've had 1 point in the last 12 games, and Arsenal, Socrates and Xhaka both back in full training as well. So yeah, I mean, I thought 4 to 7 was fair enough.
Righty-ho, Liverpool are 1...
Outraged that Mark Hughes didn't get the Huddersfield pick.
I thought it was made for Moisey, really, but I mean, Huddersfield it worked for him before, but it doesn't mean it'll work again.
It's in vogue, isn't it? The old German route. They take our young footballers and we take their obscure managers. Right then, let's do Liverpool Bournemouth. 1 to 6 Liverpool. No, thank you. 6 to 1 the draw. 13 to 1 Bournemouth. That could actually interest me. Let's see if it interests James Milton.
I'm thinking along the same lines. Yeah, but I mean, Bournemouth draw no bet at kind of 10 to 1. I think you can get it. It just looks like a free hit for them. I mean, they're probably the most carefree team in the division, safely mid-table, and as we've seen, the tension is building at Anfield. So, Bournemouth, thrashed Chelsea last week 4-0, averaging a goal and a half per game. They can land a blow, and it's a small bet on Bournemouth DMB.
Can certainly see that one. Sam, how do you view this game?
I think Liverpool are short at 1 to 6. I do think that they'll bounce back and win, but I do think they'll concede. They've conceded in 6 of their last 7, including 3 against Crystal Palace at home. So I've gone Liverpool win, both teams to score at 7 to 5.
And Lango, what's your verdict?
Going Liverpool. I was just looking at Liverpool and under 3.5, around about 6 to 5. Bournemouth, I take it all on board, but I mean, take Brooks and Wilson out of that team, both injured at the moment. I mean that takes a lot of what Bournemouth are about. They've lost 7 in a row away from home. I think it could be a slightly edgy encounter, but I think Liverpool will win, and maybe not in spectacular fashion.
OK, I could certainly see it being an edgy encounter when Southampton receive Cardiff as well. It's 4 to 6 Soton, 13 to 5 the draw, and it's 4 to 1 Cardiff. Mark, lead on.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about sort of German coaches, Arsenal, who's not German, Austrian, but came through German ranks. I mean, I think he's been a great appointment for Southampton. They look like a proper team now. I was looking at under 2.5 goals in this one. He has got them better organised, but but Cardiff, have only scored 2 goals in their last 4 away matches, but they are a pretty competitive team. We saw that on Saturday when they beat Bournemouth pretty convincingly. So I think this could be a low-scoring game. Under 2.5 goals is only a slight favourite, but I think it's a worthy one.
Milts.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff played well in defeat at Arsenal, then beat Bournemouth at home. So I wouldn't be going mad backing Southampton, but maybe Nathan Redmond first scorer. He's really flourishing under Hasenhüttl. 6 goals this season, and all of them have come in his last 10 appearances.
Yeah, we tipped him the other day, and he hit the beans. That was very nice.
Time after time since Hasenhüttl's been there. I think he's really made an impact on him.
Okay, and Sam, Southampton versus Cardiff. What's your view?
I think Cardiff's away form is too poor to ignore, so I've gone for Southampton to score 2+ team goals at 5-6.
Okay, lovely, good stuff. And finally, Watford versus Everton, 5-4. Watford 23-10 and 21-10. The Toffees. James, you're first.
I'm edging towards the draw in this one. I'm quite sweet on Watford in general, and Everton have taken 3 points from 10 games against teams above them in the table. Obviously, Watford aren't quite the class of Man City, who they played last time out. Watford have had 5 draws in their last 10. That includes a 2-2 at Goodison. So yeah, I think this one could be hard to separate the teams.
You're going for the X. Who are you going for, Sam?
I agree. I think it will be very close. I favour Watford slightly, so I've gone draw no bet. The 2 teams' forms is very similar, so just because of home advantage, I'd slightly favour Watford.
And Mark?
Watford have only won 3 of the last 15 games in the Premier League, which is a surprise, I think, to a lot of people.
That is. Yeah, that's certainly surprising. 3 of the last 15?
Yeah, in the Premier League. Yeah.
Wow.
They draw, I think James had mentioned, they draw a lot of matches. But in terms of Everton, I'm going to go for 2 Watford players to score first. Decore, in case he comes back. If he's not a starter, Capoue would be the one. Everton, set pieces, yet again, Bruce, they were undone by one. Silva's teams have woeful records. Everton, Watford, and also Hull, worst defence in the Premier League when it comes to defending set pieces. So I'm just aiming for some of the big guys that Watford have got in, and Holly Bass puts in a decent delivery as well. Okay, splendid. Right, that's the 3 p.m. games done. Now let's look at the 5:30. It's Brighton versus Burnley. Certainly a relegation scrap, this one, given the way that some of the teams that had been struggling and are now catching up with that little group of the Brightons and various other teams of this world. So it's Crystal Palaces.
Well, we've always been a little bit further down there. I was just, I almost did a Phil Thompson of this world, singular. I don't know that's ever been done before. Right. Anyway, never mind that. What's the latest betting, Sam?
We have Brighton at evens. We have the draw 11-5 and Burnley 11-4.
Well, Mark, certainly Brighton won't be tired because their cup team barely played. I know Muzza came on late on, but I mean they picked pretty much a second team for that.
It's not the fatigue, though. It's not. I don't think it's the fatigue. I think it's the planning and preparation that goes into, I mean, as Chris Hughton been working separately with the first team, it doesn't tend to happen like that. So I still think it's an impact when you have a midweek game and the opposition have had a whole week to prepare for a fixture like Burnley have, which is why I'm going for the draw, because I mean Brighton may struggle to break down a team like Burnley that go there to frustrate. Brighton, if they do win, it tends to be very narrowly, and they may just lack the sort of cutting edge to break a Burnley team down that's 6 unbeaten, and I think probably playing their best football of the season. 6 unbeaten in the Premier League. They were absolutely smashed in the FA Cup at Man City, but that was one of those things. Tom Heaton returning in goal instead of Joe Hart, I think, has made a big impact. Wouldn't fancy Burnley to win, though. I mean, the only 3 teams that won at the Amex this season: Liverpool, Spurs and Chelsea. So that's where I was sort of ending on the draw there.
Okay, do you agree, James?
I think this could be a little bit more exciting than maybe it looks on paper. I'm going for both teams to score odds against. It's copped in 6 of Burnley's last 8 games. I think Brighton, the position they're in now, they've taken 6 points from their last 10, so they are sliding down, and they've faced 5 of the bottom 6 at home. So I think they have to be positive in these kind of fixtures. And Burnley have got a couple of informed strikers, Barnes and Wood. So I think people may not be hugely excited about this choice of fixture, but I think it could be decent.
Okay, and Sam?
I have gone for a draw as well at 11-5 and under 2.5, which is 1-2. If you combine the two of them, it's 12-5. I think there's
Can
too
you
many.
do that?
Yeah. So the combined price. So we have that.
Is it a same game multi-bet or whatever you call them?
You can do it in there as well. Yeah, there's actually a market for it as well.
Oh, okay.
So win, draw, win, and over under is what the market is called.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, what an idiot. Yeah.
But both teams just draw an awful lot of games. They've 5 between them in their last 10, so I've gone for a draw on under 2.5 here.
Lovely stuff. Right, let's look at Sunday and Monday next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Now then, we are looking ahead to Sunday's 2 live games, which will definitely shake up the Premier League market. First of all, at 1:30, it's Tottenham versus Leicester at Wembley, and then at 4 o'clock, we've got Man City versus Chelsea. So we'll do the Tottenham game first. Sam, how do you bet on this one?
We have Spurs 8-13. We have the draw 11-4 and Leicester 4-1.
And we'll stick with you, Sam. What do you think will happen?
I think Spurs are surviving without Kane. They've won their last 3 games by 1 goal, but 6 of their last 7 they have won. I've gone for Spurs to win by a goal, so -1 handicap draw. And I think Son is a bet for first goal scorer here at 7-2. I think Leicester are going to sit quite deep, and Son will have an awful lot of shots in this game, so he's a good bet at 7-2.
Righty-ho. Mark, I find Leicester a very hard team to read. What do you think will happen here?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're a team that really you want to be on at sort of the bigger prices, haven't they? They've beaten Man City, they've drawn against Liverpool, they've won at Chelsea. They were absolutely horrendous in the reverse fixture when Son did score first. I was looking at the draw in this game in the hope that Leicester, it's a game at Wembley, and it's against a Big Six team. Combine those two, and that they should be awake for the contest. And Tottenham are not playing great. I know they keep on grinding it out, and they've not had a draw in 29 matches and none this season. But you think the Fulham game was a draw until the virtually last kick. They've nicked it against Watford. It's a goalkeeping error against Newcastle. I can see them slipping up sooner rather than later. Leicester are not a great price, really, though. I mean, you want bigger prices when you're sort of away from home to a Big Six team, and that's why I went for the draw in the game. But I think I wouldn't be back in Tottenham. They look a little bit vulnerable to me.
Okay. James?
Yeah, I think Leicester will keep it tight. 7 of their last 8 have been under 2.5 goals. I like the look of the draw half-time, Tottenham full-time double results. I mean, Spurs have been scoring so many late goals, as Mark mentioned. I think 4 of their last 5 have come in the 80th minute or later. And you can see them pressing in the second half, as they did against Manchester United, not quite...
It's really weird because when he starts with a 3, he then changes it to a 4 and they look better. So he starts with a 4 and then he has to change it because they don't look great into a 3. It's a bit... They're really sort of thinking on their feet and just working it out and finding ways rather than looking like a team that's sort of really realistically challenging for the Premier League title.
Everyone's far too down on Tottenham. They will be fine. 4 o'clock, Man City, Chelsea. Sam, what's the latest from Paddy Power?
Man City 4-9. The draw 7-2 and Chelsea 11-2.
11-2 Chelsea to win a league game away from home. That's a big price, Mark. Do we believe, by the way, that Hazard, who having said he's made his decision, that decision is probably that he's off ski? Because, I mean, if he was going to stay, wouldn't he have said, I'm staying?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's always good to keep, if you want more money, maybe, if you want a really big offer from Chelsea, I think you want to keep them guessing. That comment actually was filmed a few months ago, and the documentary's only just come out. I suspect he's probably had enough at Chelsea, not because he hates it. It's just that he's a foreign player that's played in France, played in England. Why wouldn't you want to go and test yourself in Spain? And it's a difficult situation for Chelsea because if he doesn't sign a contract, they have to sell him.
The trouble there, though, Mark, is that for all his brilliance, he is perfectly capable of downing those tools, isn't he? I mean, when that season when Mourinho got the flick, he was a disgrace, I thought.
He was. I mean, he's quite a relaxed character, I think it's fair. He's not sort of intense. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, is this will to win is like inside him and sort of drives him on. I don't think Hazard's like that. It comes across that he's quite, and maybe that's why he hasn't taken his game right to that level, because he hasn't got it quite in him like Ronaldo. And I mean, kind of quite like that, really. I think Ronaldo's a little bit too intense, and I think Hazard, likes his life outside football.
Fair enough.
But I think he's not going to enjoy this game at the Etihad. Man City half-time, full-time was the way I was looking. In 20 of their Premier League wins, City, they've been ahead at the break in 18 of those. Have started very quickly in recent matches, even when they've not finished the job, like at Newcastle. And Chelsea, if you look back to those away games at Arsenal and Tottenham, they were out of it before they'd even started. And and City are a big step up from either of those two. And I think if they start in a similar kind of casual attitude, they'll be a long way back before they can even get back into the game.
Higuain going to make a positive contribution, do you think, to Chelsea between now and the end of the season?
Yeah. I mean, he's better than Morata, or certainly a disinterested Morata. He's better than Giroud, but you've got to get the ball to him, and that's a problem when you play Man City because they don't give you very many chances.
OK, James, how do you see it developing?
I like the same bet. City to be leading at half-time and full-time. Have scored the first goal in their last 10 league games. And the latest of those was Laporte's against Everton, kind of just before half-time. So they do fly out of the traps, even in the reverse fixture, actually, which they lost at Stamford Bridge without Aguero and De Bruyne. I think Pep called their first half display exceptional. They could have been out of sight there. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to slip up in this one. OK,
and Sam, do you agree with the lads?
I do. I think City will win. Their home form is scintillating, 43 goals this season. I do think Chelsea will score, though. All the top 6 teams have scored at the Etihad this season. And on average, they're expected to concede 1 at home, with 11 conceded in 13. So I've gone for City win. Both teams have scored. Looks big at 15-8 for me.
Jolly good. Right then, we've got Monday night game as well. It's at Molineux. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's Wolves versus Newcastle. Sam, give us Paddy Power's latest betting, if you would.
Yeah, we have Wolves at 4-6. We have the draw 5-2 and Newcastle 4-1.
And Sam, before we get the verdicts, what would you give your Postcast debut so far out of 10? Are you happy with your performance?
Yeah, fairly high. I'll go 9.
Yeah, I think he's been very solid, lads, hasn't he?
Wait and see what the results are first, Bruce.
That's true. But all good so far, Sam. James, what will happen in this game?
This is the kind of fixture, actually, I'm tempted to oppose Wolves in. I know they've been in fine form recently, scoring plenty of goals. They've been playing, Leicester, West Ham, Everton, all teams who are slightly out of sorts. And I just think in this kind of game, they can be vulnerable. Lost at home to Palace, lost at home to Huddersfield this season, and Watford as well. And Newcastle, for all the off-the-field issues and the running of the club and whatever, they really are scrapping for survival. And for Rafa, obviously had that amazing win over Man City, but also beat Cardiff in a really important game. And they've had a horrible run of fixtures since Christmas and not been disgraced at all. Narrow defeats to Tottenham and Chelsea. So yeah, Newcastle draw double chance. Not the kind of fixture I want to be getting stuck into Wolves at short prices.
Right, Sam, what do you think? Wolves Newcastle.
I do think Wolves will win here. I've gone for Wolves to score 2 or more goals at 10-11. For a little bit of value, 3 or more at 10-3 also looks big. 10 goals in their last 3 games. They've players in really good form: Jota, Jimenez, Cavallero. So I think Wolves will have too much for Newcastle here.
OK, and Mark?
Wolves have been off to Marbella this week for a bit of warm weather training. I think that this one here, I was toying between Wolves to win by exactly 1 goal and draw Wolves double result. I think maybe the draw Wolves double result is the way to go. Newcastle, I think, will set up to frustrate. 5-4-1 has been the kind of formation in recent weeks. I don't really see Rafa moving away from that. And Wolves have struggled to break teams down that have been defensive against them, apart from the fact they're actually playing really well in the Premier League. That performance against West Ham was outstanding. Then they beat Everton as well. So I think they'll find a way to eventually break what is still a limited Newcastle team down and keep their sort of push for 7th spot going.
OK, let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
James Milton.
Yeah, I'm going for West Brom to win at Stoke. West Brom have been eased in the betting a bit since their midweek cup exit, and they played extra time. But Darren Moore made changes in that game. They've won 5 of their last 6 away. Stoke have lost 4 of 5 under Nathan Jones. West Brom won at Sheffield United, who are one of the strongest teams in the division. And yeah, I think they've got enough about them to take the points. Kind of just under 2-1 at Stoke looks decent.
Where are you going to go, Sam, for your nap?
An obscure one here. I've gone for Scottish League 2 and I've gone for Clyde to win away at Annan. Clyde have won their last 6, conceding very few goals, and they also beat Peterhead in that run. They go off at 23-20 here, so I think that's a big price on Clyde.
Blimey. Is that what, do you specialise in lower league Scottish football?
No, I don't. I just have a big interest in all the leagues.
I do. Have you got some anti-post interest there?
Yeah, I do.
Who do you want?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Good luck there. I'm going to go for Preston at 10-11 to win at Bolton. Mark?
I'm the same, Bruce.
Oh, God, sorry, mate.
No, that's fine. I think that Preston... you know, I saw Alex Neil saying that they're still looking at the playoffs, even though they're in a lowly league position. Got certainly a number of their injured players back now. I think they've got real good quality in midfield with the likes of Gallagher and Brown in there. They limited Derby to no shots on target on Friday night. Probably should have won that game. Bolton, 2 wins in their last 26 championship games.
Well, you gave a far better explanation. I was going to say, well, you told me they're good these days.
They are, yeah, they are good. I mean, I think they are a team that's due that can really go on a good run in the second half of the season. Actually, like these last couple of months.
Brilliant. What's the weekend hold, lads? You going to watch some football, James?
Yes, I'll be in the office Sunday, I think, so watch those 2 games.
Oh, you'll be watching 2 games, will you? Paid to watch football?
I might do a bit of work.
That's what it's all about, is it? Good. Mark, what are you doing? You off doing a match in focus?
No, it's full on Champions League
preparation.
coverage this weekend. So I'm working sort of all over.
Good lad. And Sam, what's the weekend hold for you, my friend?
I'm in the office Saturday and Sunday, so I'll be watching football all day, both days.
Will you?
Yeah.
With your feet on the desk, telling Jason Murphy to put 2 sugars in your tea.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what we like to hear. Well done, Sam. Thank you very much indeed. An excellent debut. Don't forget, if you enjoy these shows, please make sure you rate, review and subscribe however you are listening. Now, I normally plug upcoming podcasts at this point. The way it's looking, the racing could be from Portman Park and Steepledowns, but hopefully the flu outbreak will blow over and we will look forward to a fantastic weekend headed by the Betfair Hurdle Card at Newbury on Saturday. So Maddie is doing the racing on Friday and Monday. And talking of Monday, we've got a special Champions League postcast which Mark is in control of. That's been recorded on Monday, isn't it?
It is, yeah, Monday afternoon. So
Monday afternoon, so listen out for that.
Yeah.
There will be all the lowdown on the last 16 teams and the 4 ties taking place next week. So hopefully you can join us for some of that. If not, we're back next Thursday for another Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.